Hello, everybody. It's 4:31 p.m. Central Time on the 21st of September, 2022. It's Wednesday here in the United States. Hope you're doing well. We are here on the Earthquake 3D view. I'm not even going to call it a live stream. On the program Earthquake 3D, and we're showing you the earthquakes over the past 48 hours or so around the planet. Of course, we're dealing with major activity over the past few days, going into last week. Multiple sevens striking, if you're not aware, including down on the coast of Mexico, which caused minor tsunami activity as well as major damage across the coast of Mexico. Now, this earthquake in Mexico falls on the anniversary date of the previous large earthquake that struck down here on September 19th, which is so odd because it goes back even a few years. It goes back not just once, but twice. This is the third time on September 19th that a 7.0 range earthquake struck. I think the first time is like in 1985, and then we get up to like 2016 or 2015. I don't know exactly which year, and then now, of course. So there's something going on down in Mexico around this time of year. Now, what's going on around this time of year? Well, we're going over from summer into fall. And that's a little odd, right? Because fall's just a human-made season. Okay, we have autumn, which is, again, a time where the trees change and the seasons change. The seasons are changing because of the tilt of the earth. And then this gets into earthquakes that happen at certain times of the year, like in spring, when we're coming out of winter and the earth is tilting and going, again, in a certain direction. Well, I digress on the tilt of the earth, but that the seasons change, and when the seasons change, that has to do with the angle of the sun and the photons hitting the earth and charged particles. Charged particles hitting the earth go down to the core of the earth. So the more charged particles that are going to hit the earth in a certain spot, it's going to go down and come back up in other spots. I know that gets a little confusing. Let me just put it this way. When the sun bombards Earth, it goes down to the core and then comes back up. Now, let's talk about what struck since our Big 7 over here in Mexico. So, Big 7 in Mexico can't be ignored. We're going to see subsequent activity over in the East Pacific. But while all that's going on, we have new deep earthquakes that are taking place in the West Pacific. You'll see them raised high off the globe here. Now, notice right in the middle of the letter D, this deep earthquake is coming again high off the globe. Now, our letter Ds are spots where we watch for new deep earthquakes to take place. Here's our other letter Ds, too, over in Indonesia, and we're again right on the letter D with a deep earthquake. So something is going on down below the plate now, which is going to come up through the plate over the next several days and spread up, out, and away from where the deep earthquakes are. Let me take you over and show you a USGS plate boundary map here with these thick red lines on the screen. These are the boundaries between the plates, and make note where they have the earthquakes over the last 24 hours. And if we look at 48, it's just going to add areas in between the current earthquakes that the USGS is showing. But you see it going all the way around the north side of the Indo-Australian plate, going over to the west side of the Indo-Australian plate, and heading out all the way to where it meets up with Turkey coming out of Iran, and then going out to the mid-Atlantic ridge. Opposite direction, we go up to the north, up to Kamchatka, over to Alaska, and down to the United States following the plate boundaries, which is the San Andreas Fault, of course. Then we go across the United States on the North American Craton. Now, the Craton is a diagram I show all the time, but look at the earthquakes and you'll see that they match. Let me go back to our earthquakes here, and you'll see that there's a perfect match with the earthquakes going across the United States, starting with a swarm up in Yellowstone, swarming on the west coast, multiple 3s and 4s on the west coast. Then we take a step down once we get into Texas. So west coast goes all the way down to California, of course. Then we go over to the east and we're on the edge of the Craton. And then it's a perfect match of the quakes going from Texas over to the east coast. The only thing missing now is the far northeast to get hit with a line of earthquakes going up the east coast. Now, I mentioned Yellowstone, big stack of earthquakes here at Yellowstone. Don't be alarmed. It doesn't mean Yellowstone's going to erupt now. it means that there's a current push coming in on the edge of the North American Craton, and Yellowstone resides right on the edge. Look where Wyoming and Montana is on the Craton diagram, and compare to where the earthquake swarm is. The earthquake swarm, of course, is in the park at Yellowstone, but Yellowstone's really just on the edge of the Craton. Now we have another supervolcano. There's actually more than one. We all know about Yellowstone. Most people don't know. Over here at the California-Nevada border, right here, is another supervolcano on the backside of our red arrow. That's Long Valley Caldera, and earthquakes are all around it. 3 sets. There's 2 lone quakes down here in Nevada, and one over to the east at the border with Utah. Down in South Nevada, this is a big drop-off from where we were. We dropped off at the nuclear test sites. We're not doing nukes there now, guys. That's just earthquake activity on the side of that giant star fort that I showed you in my previous video. But since then, check it out. A new swarm broke out over to the west. This goes right over into Death Valley. Pull the coordinates on this. See how it says Kozo Junction. And I apologize if you hear sawing going on behind me, but neighbors are apparently getting some work done. It never fails, man. It is what it is. I got my windows open, guys. It's like 90 degrees outside today. It's like late summer, early fall heat. Okay, let's go search. Let's go search and see what's down there along Death Valley. There we are. So, Kozo Volcanic Field, do you see it? It's marked here. It's marked from the Smithsonian. Now, I can zoom in on Kozo. We can also click on it. You can read the information if you need to. But what we'll see is, if we zoom in, if the area loads, you'll see a bunch of geothermal pumping operations, drill points that go down into the volcanic field itself. And again, I apologize, guys. I don't know what's going on with my connection here. We're on MustNet. We're on Starlink. Maybe the saw next door down the road is interfering with my microwave satellite signal somehow. It's a crystal clear blue day outside. No trees above the transmitter. Don't know what's going on. Some kind of interference happening. Anyway, interference seems to only happen when I'm trying to show you spots that are somewhat sensitive. This is a sensitive location in relation to the spot just to the south. Ridgecrest. This is an experimental facility where Raytheon and Boeing, and they also have flight launch facilities and so forth, rocket test facilities in here. I would like to correct myself. I did say in my last video, when I zoomed in on this, for some reason, I said Vandenberg and typed it down. I was thinking Vandenberg. Anyway, it's Edwards Air Force Base in the middle of our giant star fort shape here. But I'm not going to get into the giant triangular shape here that goes back to a diamond shape. That's in my other video, which I will expound upon later at some point, but not in this video. So let's recap so far. So we have a line of earthquakes coming in from the northwest, a swarm at Yellowstone. We're going to look for this to go down to Texas, and it's going to go through Colorado. We'll probably see Colorado light up with a few earthquakes along the way, and then Texas gets slammed with the total amount that has accumulated over on the west coast, which is multiple 4s. If you take those multiple 4s, put them together, it equals like 4.5, 4.6. Plus all the 2s and 1s, it might go up a little bit more. But so I'm going to warn Texas right now for mid-range 4 to be coming in on the, one more time, on the edge of the North American Craton, right down at the bend coming out of New Mexico. I mentioned Colorado. Colorado doesn't have any earthquake activity now. We have to watch Trinidad, we have to watch Greeley, and we have to watch western Colorado right at the border by Durango. So all 3 spots will most likely show movement. I don't know if they're going to report the earthquake activity. Like, for instance, like today, just to give you an example, I don't know if they're going to report the earthquake activity in the areas where I'm issuing warnings. There's a big beef between me and the professionals, or between professionals and me. I didn't seek it out. And it seems like they may not be reporting earthquakes in spots where we issue warnings. So, for instance, earlier on the feed here, and I'm just going to scroll down and see if it's still on the Volcano Discovery feed. Yeah, okay, see this? See this right here? We have several reports of shaking being felt across Rhode Island and Massachusetts. The earlier report was Massachusetts. Let me scroll down and see if we have it on here or not. I don't know if it's going to still be on here. You guys have to pay attention to this. But reported shaking, reported earthquake, but then no magnitude assigned and USGS doesn't touch it or whatever. I can't believe it, but it's Massachusetts and Rhode Island now, both today, up here in the Northeast, showing some kind of shake reports and nothing from the professionals. Not a 0, not a 1, not a 2, nothing. The public reporting it, professionals not reporting it. I don't know what's going on, but it's happening in areas where I'm issuing warnings, like in the Northeast. Weird, right? So we have to pay attention to the Craton because the Craton is going to start moving. And I've told you guys this before. When we get big movement on the Craton, we start to see movement up here in the Northeast. They start to not report it and even blame it on other things. So like the mystery booms and rumbles I brought up before, many times up here at Rhode Island, that we were looking for an earthquake one time at Rhode Island, and mystery booms and rumbles happened. In other words, everybody felt some kind of shaking. Then the media weighed in and the professionals weighed in and called it possible sonic booms. Then a few days later, the beach exploded over here at Rhode Island. Literally, the beach exploded and sent a woman flying. They tried to blame it on seaweed and methane gas, even though it wasn't seaweed. The whole thing exploded. It was methane seep coming up from on the edge of the Craton. Anyway, that kind of stuff starts to happen in the Northeast. And so when I see shake reports and felt reports, but I don't see an earthquake get reported, I get really suspicious because I'm looking for activity to go up to the East Coast. It's leading right over to it. The only thing missing is up there, and that would complete it all the way across. And the professionals said there was no transfer progression across the Craton at all. So it seems like they're trying to hide it, guys. That's what I'm getting at. Wow, right? Okay, now over on the West Coast, we have a few warnings that I still have going, and they're going to expire tomorrow or tonight. So I'm not going to cancel the warnings, but I'm going to tell you, we have not seen any earthquakes of any magnitude get reported out here in the ocean off the coast of Vancouver, Washington, or Oregon at all. Not even a 0 or a 1 or a 2. Something's really weird going on out there, too. Years on end without any earthquakes getting reported when the areas down south and up north keep moving. Again, there is earthquake activity out here. It's not totally quiet. It's the professionals who are being totally quiet. You know what I mean? They don't want the public to panic. I don't blame them. But to keep the public from panicking, they don't show them. And so, in other words, you get the 5s off the coast. They don't want you to see it because then you'll start to look for 4s on land. And they don't want you to look for 4s on land. You know why? Even though they hit the 2 4.4s. They don't want you to look for the 4s on land because they said you couldn't know ahead of time when an earthquake was going to hit. So they don't want you to look. In order to prevent you looking, they don't show it to you. And then it hits, and then they pretend like it's a mystery. Who's they, right? Okay, anyway, let's go back over to the West Pacific and recap. So deep earthquakes coming up from down below. A spread of the same sized earthquakes, 5, 5.1, 5.2, spreading out over to the west and up to the north. Now check it out. Breaking news last night. A volcano that I've never had to report on in the entire time that I've been online. And I mean the entire time I've been on YouTube. So since 2006, this has never been on the list. Home Reef. Have you ever even heard of it? Home Reef in Tonga. Apparently the USGS started issuing warnings about this volcano last week or something. And check it out. Surface level to FL200. Flight level 200. 20,000 foot high blast. Observed volcanic ash cloud from Home Reef in Tonga. So I had to look up information on this volcano. I had no idea what it was. Again, we have the USGS issuing, alerts or whatever you want to call it about this volcano. Look at what we've got. It's just a tiny mound above the ocean. And all that is undersea eruptive activity. But I would like to pull this and just quickly see if it comes up over on good old Google Earth. Because I'd like to measure how deep the ocean is there so we can know how tall the undersea mount is. Home Reef, Tonga. There we are. Home Reef, Tonga. You got to do this. You got to look it up. It matters whether or not it's a shallow volcano or a deep one that's just risen up. Okay, there we go. Here's the Smithsonian on Home Reef, and they'll have the eruptive history going back to 2006. First reported active in the mid-19th century. In 1984, it produced a 12-kilometer high eruption plume, copious amounts of floating pumice, an ephemeral island, which means it'll be washed away, right? And let's see. 2006 produced a widespread dacitic pumice rafts that reached as far as Australia. Well, that's pretty far, considering it's thousands of miles, right? Okay, searching back down to the point again, let's just see how deep the ocean is here. And it matters to me, again, if the volcano that I have never seen on the list is suddenly showing up. Okay, so we have an elevation of 0 feet around here. That's to be expected. But then we drop down 40, 50, 100 feet, 700 feet, 1,000 feet as we spread out from the volcano. Okay, let's just spread this out. So it's real shallow right in here. All the way around here, they have it at a 0 foot, 0 to negative 1 foot. So it's 1 foot deep. All the way out. That's insane, right? Like 1 foot deep in the Pacific right there. But then we get out here, we're at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. Okay, so we're at 5,000 to 6,000 feet deep around the island, and it rises up to the surface, and now it's blasting above the surface 20,000 feet up into the sky. Now, make note of where it is. It's at the pinnacle tip of the plate boundary of the Indo-Australian plate. It's in Tonga, and it's right next to the previous blast that we had at Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'api. And if you can even try and say that 3 times fast, I can't even believe I remember the name. Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'api. And it blew almost 100,000 feet high and caused a tsunami, supposedly a tsunami, across the Pacific. I say supposedly because it seemed like that might have been somewhat exaggerated. So recapping deep earthquakes. New deep earthquakes. Multiple 7s spreading across the plate. United States has a coast warning going along the coast up here to the northwest, 5.9 to 6.0. Has not hit yet. I'm also going to be watching for activity down in Texas. And to top it all off, in Southern California again, we're going to warn for a new swarm to break out in L.A. And let me tell you why I'm going to warn in L.A. Let's zoom down to the south and show you just what's happening. So we're swarming down at Salton Sea. That was expected. So Salton Sea is moving. And look at the line of quakes here. Do you see this? Even a kid could do the game of connect the dots going across here. It's like a diagonal line going from Salton Sea right down to the border. And we're lined with swarms of earthquakes on this side, east side of Salton Sea. On the west side of Salton Sea, there's also a diagonal line of quakes, pretty much doing the same shape, going in the same trajectory. And then you see they're somewhat equally spaced, these 4 up here on the north side. And then we go back up, and we jump across the Garlock, and we do the same thing. We have another line of earthquakes going the same direction. We go back up the coast, back up the border and along the coast, and they're both doing, again, the same shape, the same trajectory. Do you see it? Same overall trajectory on pretty much all of these going down to the south. Now, guess what's down here at Salton Sea? A volcano. But not just a volcano. There's a drill point or a series of drill points to exploit this for geothermal, for getting steam out of the ground. And drill points at volcanoes where we already have weak points from Mother Nature punching up from down below, we come in and complete it from up above, and we're reaching in from up above to down below. And, of course, it weakens the area. Here's the marked volcano from the Smithsonian, the Salton Buttes. And on the side of the Salton Buttes, we have these geothermal pumping operations. And they go, and you can follow the pipelines to the drill points. And they have them all over the place here. The geothermal on the side of the volcano goes down past Calipatria, through Westmoreland, and then right down past Imperial to the border. We have more solar on one side, geothermal on the other, and we go across the border, and the Mexicans are doing somewhat of the same thing down at their volcano, which is similar in size and shape, Cerro Prieto, and on the side of it, big-time geothermal pipelines, drill points, everything exploiting the steam there. Now, that's all along the San Andreas. Let me take you back over and show you the USGS plate boundary map. Here's the thick red line I've been showing you throughout this update, and it goes down across into the Gulf of California. That is the San Andreas. It's also the plate boundary between the Pacific and North America, Laurentia. Continent's called Laurentia, in case you didn't know. North America. In between Pacific and North America, we're following the red line. The earthquakes, make note, we're going to zoom in on Southern California. Here's Salton Sea. See? San Andreas goes into Salton Sea. And right at the volcano, it turns into the Imperial Fault. And they call it the Imperial Fault further down to the south, and then it goes into the plate boundary again in the Gulf of California. And that's where the swarm is. So now, you know where the swarm is, at the volcano there, and there's a big line. Look back over to the west. Do you see the bigger line? Where does it point back to? Well, it points back up here. What's this green area right there? That's the basin called the LA Basin. To show you, right in here. So this is a height elevation map. Green is low, and well, a yellow is somewhat highland, and then we get into brown, and that's mountainous. Anyway, LA Basin. Notice anything about it? No earthquakes in it at all. Meanwhile, over to the east, we're moving all the way along the San Andreas, the Elsinore, and the San Jacinto faults. But the actual San Andreas here from, let's just say, Fraser Park, all the way down here to, what is that? Boy, I can't remember the name of the place here. Hold on. Yucaipa? Okay, I just remembered it. I never lived in California. You have to remember these little towns. Okay, so we go from Fraser Park down to Yucaipa, and it's totally open. Now, there's a few earthquakes 2 days ago in the LA Basin. Let's get those out of there. But I'm just going to tell you, nothing there means the middle of it, right here in the middle of LA, going to the north side, will get hit. And it'll get hit by the combined total of everything coming down from the north, which is at least one 4.4, possibly two 4.4s. If you add them together, it equals about a 4.5 to 4.6. But then we add in everything else. We're looking for a 5.9 off the coast. I don't know if it hit or not already. If it hit, it would really matter if it hit, because it would mean we're imminently waiting for something down here. Now, where in North LA? Well, it's going to actually be, I already pointed it to you. Go up here on the north side, somewhere right in here from Glen Avon north. Well, look what's there. Up here to the north, South Pasadena, Monterey Park, Bell Gardens, Commerce, California, LA, and a bunch of oil pumping operations. Drill points. Who cares? And a drill point on the side of a most famous earthquake zone. Never mind the power lines and the very low frequency flowing through those. Anyway, we got all those oil wells right there. I'm going to look in North LA for the potential of a 4 point something, upper 4, enough to get everybody's attention, knock things off shelves, maybe even cause damage. Taking it back to the start, going back up to the west, northwest, we could go look up into Washington State, Oregon. I didn't even bother to look those up yet. But for instance, these two earthquakes here, this one and this one marked in blue, those are at Mount Rainier. And not just anywhere at Mount Rainier. Let's go put the coordinates in. Did you guys hear what happened up in Mount Rainier just the other week? Well, sorry. Did you hear what happened? Well, the mainstream media, somebody in the mainstream media saw a plume coming out the top of the freaking volcano, and they made a post about it. And then the other mainstream media came in and shamed them and said it was not a plume from the volcano, even though it's coming out of the top of the crater, and tried to say it was just a cloud. Do you want to see it? Mount Rainier plume. Let's see. There we go. Did Mount Rainier erupt? Newsweek. Trying to deny it. Oh, wait, we got ads loading. What a joke. Mount Rainier is not erupting. We have looked at the cloud and it's caused concern from multiple webcams and determined that it's a lenticular cloud. In addition, the USGS reports no indications of unusual seismic activity. These guys are the biggest jokers, dude. For real, I don't trust a word they say. You know what they said about me, right? You know, the USGS issued statements about me personally, right? Saying that it was impossible to forecast an earthquake and any claims made by me were false and blah, 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 blah. They said that on Twitter. They took it down after I called them and threatened them to sue because it's a government agency coming after a citizen. It's never been done in the entire time the United States has been here. But anyways, other than that, science agency. So what do we got here? Are they going to show it or not? Nope. They're not even going to show it. Look at that shit. You have to wait all that time for that ad, and they didn't even show it to us. Pardon my language, guys. All right, that really bothers me. Now we're going to go open it up on videos. Mount Rainier plume. We have to find it now. You got to be kidding me, man. They buried it. Look, they buried it. It should come up top search. It was a big deal, man. Big deal. Okay, hold on. Yep, it's been scrubbed. It's been scrubbed, guys. Should come up. They're trying to say it's this. They're trying to say it's a lenticular cloud. You got to be kidding me, man. Okay. This is really bothering me now. Mount Rainier steam. Look what they're doing, guys. I'm serious now. Look what Google's doing to try and hide it. There we go. There we go. Trying to say it's a lenticular cloud. My ass. What a freaking scam. These people. Lenticular cloud. Scam. Scam. Lenticular. Seriously, lenticular cloud is what I just showed you in the previous shot of that round looking, this thing. This is a lenticular cloud. Oh my God. It's a scam and a half. Anyway, you can't find the video because now it's been scrubbed. I'm not going to spend all day looking for it. I just wanted to try and show it to you. Try and show you something. It won't come up. Even though it's top news. Let's go down to the south and go see what's at Morton, Washington. No unusual seismic activity. Well, I mean, I would say that's true, actually. That it's just usual. It's normal. It's normal for a big volcano to get some steam and a little bit of rumbling. They probably don't even report it to the public. They probably don't even keep track. Probably don't even check the stations. The professionals, I mean. So over here, on the side of Mount St. Helens, we're on the flank of Mount St. Helens. Nothing to be scared about or worried about. It doesn't mean Mount St. Helens is going to erupt. Although Mount St. Helens did erupt a few years back. I think it was 2007 or 2009. It put off a nice size plume blast out of the center of the crater. It's on the USGS channel on YouTube if you want to see video of it. That was in like 2007, 2009 or something. And it's nothing to be alarmed about. The dome is rising at the center, and on the flank we also see movement. It happens at both. You'll see it inside the crater and then outside on the flank. It's like clockwork. First on the inside, then on the outside. Now I am curious about this 1.3. All the way over here. What's going on all the way over here? Oh, no big deal. It's just an explosion out there. Must be Bubba out there with his tannerite. Doing target practice. Or a meth lab. We are talking about Washington and Oregon. They got a bunch of hippies out there, dabbing too hard. Making some oil. No, you know what it is, guys? See, this place is called Kennewick. You see this place? See what this is? They don't have it labeled, do they? Maybe I should turn on the Google Earth community so we can help label it for Google Earth. Help everybody understand what we're looking at here. See what this place is called? The Hanford area, U.S. Department of Energy. Have you ever heard of that? Hanford Nuclear Waste Superfund Storage Site from the time of the 1950s up until now, where they had the Manhattan Project reactors that they built. And then they broke down the reactors, left the caskets, took all the material, put it into storage here. And then it blew out. A few years back, a tunnel collapsed and you remember that one? Okay. Anyway, this place is the Hanford Nuclear Storage Facility. It's also the processing facility where they made a lot of, and still make and store a lot of nuclear material. Now you see this? This is the LIGO Gravity Wave Sensing Station. These are long lasers in housings that go down and cross their beams in the building here. And where the beams cross, it's called a scalar. And what they do is they look for vibrations in the beams where they cross. And the vibration of the beam itself, depending on which way. But notice it's pointed at a right angle to the heaviest elements known to man on the periodic chart. They say it's just by chance that they're doing it there like that. Measuring gravity waves from across the universe. Have to say it like that to make it make sense, because I'm not buying any of that anymore. I think they're measuring VLF waves, and I think they are looking for scalar coming from Russia, because Russia figured out how to cross beams over the United States and make all kinds of stuff happen back in the 1980s, as Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Bearden told us. And that they could detonate our nuclear, including stored radiological materials that normally are not capable of being detonated, that they could just literally light them up, basically, using radio waves. And that the United States has these things parked all over the country now as basically like holding a grenade with the pin pulled to protect yourself from the incoming barrage of aliens or something, right? Like you're holding the grenade, you're like, well, I pulled the pin, all I got to do is let go. Right? It's your insurance policy. Well, It's like we're keeping these areas as insurance policies once that Russia figured out how to detonate all of them, including the nukes in the ground. And yeah, that's from Thomas Beard, not me. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Beard. Down to the south we go. We go down to Mount Hood, and we go down to, of all places, Newberry Crater again. Mount Hood is called Government Camp, but here they have it called Wapanachia. Am I saying that right? Wapanachia? Wapanachia? Let's go search the coordinates. Go show you. Now, normally it's listed as Government Camp. Why? Because that's the name of the town right here. Quite literally, this is Government Camp is on the south flank of here. Let's wait for it to load. Come on now. Wow. We're not getting the name of Government Camp on the south side anymore, guys. Am I at the right volcano? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay, finally had to appear. They're like, free it up. You understand I have like 20 sensors assigned to my account at any given time. Anyway, plus AI. So we're at Government Camp there, and then we go down to the south. We're at Newberry Crater. So I want to show you all of these earthquakes so you understand that we're getting hit at volcanoes, we're getting hit at drill points, and we're getting hit in between them. I'm looking for the next magnitude higher to come into the United States. So the next magnitude higher puts us into the forest range, and if we're already at 4.4, it could go up another full magnitude. Here we are at Three Sisters with this set of earthquakes here on the side of this volcanic field. So you guys know about Three Sisters. If you don't, go look it up. Finally, down to the south, again, California. I'm warning down in LA. We're warning in the LA Basin, and we're warning for the potential to go up to upper 4 to low 5. And that's in the next several days. All the signs are there that we're getting ready to. I don't know about off the coast, though. Off the coast, it's a whole different story. I don't think we're getting the reports like we should. For my viewers up in Alaska, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. A 6 over here at Kamchatka, right at the pinnacle tip of the plate boundary. Let's go over and show you the plate boundary one more time on the USGS map up here in the Northwest Pacific. You'll understand what's moving up here. So you see it? It's like a triangle shape there. And we have our 6 right over here on the east side. I'd like to show everybody the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center because we have a change up here from just what was going on a couple of days ago. Oh, I want to give somebody a shout out. Monkey Works over on YouTube again. You guys got to go check this guy out if you have not. He covers all kinds of flight and troop travel information and so forth, all sorts of information relating to, well, movement of certain types of aircraft. And he also covers volcanic ash advisories. I saw him mention something in his last update, and he's right about it, that there was no eruptive activity in his last update up in Kamchatka, Russia at all. And now, all of a sudden, we have Ebeko volcano, we also have Kluchevskoye volcano going, and we have Shivelush volcano. They're saying it's resuspended from wind. I don't know about all that. But I will tell you this, if I see Shivelush, Kluchevskoye, and Ebeko all going in the same day, and they're all going just after we saw no activity at all, I have one more to add in. Alaid, A-L-A-I-D. Look where it is, guys. Kuril Islands, up to 10,000 feet, 9,000 feet. And this matters. So let's go and look. Where are these located? They're up here. So we have Kluchevskoye, Shivelush, Ebeko, and Alaid. 4 volcanoes suddenly going up here in the Northwest Pacific, and a 6 accompanying it along the plate boundary, the red lines that I've been showing you this update up here. So a 6 plus 4 volcanoes right there. And that's a change from where we were, which was nothing, literally nothing. No earthquakes or eruptions up there. So what's changed? Well, the flow. The flow came out of Taiwan and down south at Papua New Guinea and is now going up to the north. And that's what we're seeing here now. Hence, over to the east, over in Alaska, we've got to now issue a warning for the potential of 6.0 plus activity to come in along the coast and potential eruptive activity to come in along the coast. Now, where along the coast? I would look between our sets of earthquakes. We have a set out here, right next to Boguslav volcano, where the letter V is. And we have a set of earthquakes right here next to Kodiak, and then we go into a big cluster up into Anchorage. and beyond up to Denali. I'll look in between the two clusters out here, in between Boguslav and the cluster coming in at Kodiak. Now, right next to Kodiak is a volcano right in here, and I don't know the name of it. I don't remember the name of it. It did show eruptive activity a few months ago, but let's just go see what the name of it is. Hold on. It's really easy to find. It's right next to Kodiak right here. There it is. You see the name of that? Devil's Desk. Great. Katmai, that's the name of it. There it is. Katmai, right there, and Novorupda. Novorupda. But anyway, Katmai was the one that was showing activity, and I zoomed in on it and saw the big crater, and I was waiting for the name of the volcano load and stuff. That was in my video a couple weeks ago. All right, well, we're back there again. So we have a cluster of earthquakes there and a cluster of earthquakes back by Boguslav. We'll look in between the two, right in here. And there's a third volcano right in there. Let me show you. See this one? Right there. Veniaminov. Veniaminov showed up a few months ago on the list. Hadn't seen it in years. Showed back up on the list. Well, we have to warn for earthquake activity to strike out there by Veniaminov. And again, I don't forecast eruptions, but maybe I should. But I'm not going to, but maybe I should. Coast of Canada. Pacific Northwest United States. I don't know what to tell you guys, man. It's quiet as all get out, and I don't think that's natural. I think that's due to lack of reporting. Now, let's talk about this. The big earthquake in Mexico again. Big earthquake in Mexico. We have to look through the planet to the opposite side of the planet, and let's do that. Look where it looks through to. There's an earthquake on the opposite side of the planet. It's a 5, so let's go back around and see. Well, I'll be darned. There it is. There's our 5 and 4.9 on the opposite side of the planet, on the antipode. So 2 magnitudes less is struck today, 5.6, and 7.6 on the other side of the planet. A 5 striking along the coast of Sumatra. I would have to tell all my viewers now that somewhere between our cluster coming out of Papua New Guinea and our cluster going across the Indo-Australian plate, and this looks right along the plate boundary. Let's go back over and show you. Somewhere between down here and back here, going along the plate boundary up and around, is going to get struck with a major earthquake very soon. The cumulative total of everything across this portion of the plate. And if I were to zoom in on the area to find the halfway point between all these earthquakes, it's pretty much putting us right here on the north side of the plate boundary. Let's go show you what I'm talking about. See all these earthquakes? It's like a river. It's dividing in half. It's going up to the north, up to Taiwan, up to Japan. It's going up to the north, up to Guam, and coming back to Japan in like a diamond shape. Then it's going up to the north and over towards Alaska. I already told you about that. Now, over to the west, you see it. It's going across Indonesia and up into China, and it's going across the Indo-Australian plate down to the letter X, down here. So it's going up and around, up into China, and it's going directly across. The wave. There's a wave that's causing these earthquakes. So there's a separate force that causes earthquakes. It's a wave of some kind. Very low frequency, ultra low frequency, thousands of miles apart between the peak and the trough, between the top and the bottom of the wave. Thousands of miles, very low frequency. And it's dropping off earthquakes the same distance, all the way apart, across. And they're about the same size. And I'll prove that to you because we can go from these 4.9s and 5.1s all the way up into Asia where we have 4.9 to 5.1. And look where the 4.9 to 5.1 struck. For instance, coming out of the Mideast and Asia, going over into Europe, it struck at Turkey. Well, what's over in Turkey? Where the two plate boundaries come together for the whole thing. So we come out of Indo-Australia, we go across Iran, and then we pull back up in Turkey. Now, I issued a warning right here. Cyprus over to Syria. Cyprus to Syria. And here we are. Earthquake struck on the east side of Syria on the plate boundary to the east. I was warning on this side, and it struck on this side. Again, it's a 50-50. It's coming in like that. It's like a 2-arm scale. Preferencing on the east side. I still think we're going to get our 6 striking here between Cyprus and Syria very soon as the energy flows over to the west and keeps trying to go out towards equalization on the opposite side of the planet, which gets me into what I talked about in my update with the star forts. and this opposite side of the planet business, that, hold on, it's not going around the whole planet. It's only going around, I was just talking about this with my wife no more than a few hours ago. It's only going around half the planet. How did I not see it, right? Like, I didn't know what to look for. So we're starting over here with deep earthquakes. The flow goes out across, splits two ways. One way goes up to Kamchatka and over to the United States. And the other way, it follows it like a river, and it goes out, and it reaches to the mid-Atlantic ridge. Once it gets to the mid-Atlantic ridge, I told you in the past, well, apparently it's going back through the planet. And it comes back out on the opposite side, the antipode, with new deep earthquakes. But it never dawned on me that if it starts on one side of the planet and it goes over to the quote-unquote other side of the planet, but the other side isn't the full all the way around, it's just half. This is like some kind of video game where we're going on one side of the screen and we're coming out on the other. I don't know how to explain it. It could go back around, but that would mean that it's only going halfway, and that would be halfway would be the full all the way around then. And that would mean that the globe isn't what we're being shown. Either way, it's proof that they're not showing us what that something's very seriously wrong, or it's going back through the planet. Anyway, we get the same sized earthquakes, regardless of whether it's flat or round or whatever you believe. We get the same sized earthquakes going around the whole thing, from one side to the other, and then poof, comes back through. Or, like I said, like a video game, just comes back out on the other side. Or it's flat and the people really are right and it's really just going around in a ring. Oh, no. Hey, my mind's open to all of it. If I find out that there's something weird about this, the Earth is shaped like a freaking diamond, or it's shaped like a donut or torus shape, or it's flat, or it's a asteroid like all knobby and stuff, I don't know. There's some reason they're not showing it to us from space with a live camera, HD, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For crying out loud. Okay, I've digressed into full meltdown. China syndrome, but with earthquakes. Okay, finally, let's talk about Europe. Europe, oh my gosh, guys, check it out. Norcia, Italy got hit. Did I say it right? Norcia, Italy. Norcia. 2.0 striking right in the middle of the warned area. Now, this is 2, maybe even 2.5 magnitudes under what I was looking for. But guess what else happened here? The biggest, freakest, largest flooding in years hit this exact spot where I'm getting ready to show you the earthquake. It could even be that the earthquakes are now being caused by water weight itself. So where is Norcia? See it? There's Norcia. Here's our new quake. Here's Norcia. Let's measure the distance between the new quake and the little tiny Italian town of Norcia. 10 miles. I'm 10 miles off and about 2 magnitudes. I don't know. We're spot on location-wise. We're spot on time-wise. Magnitude-wise, where is it? It's missing 2 full magnitudes. Anyway, this whole area just flooded, and I mean bad. You guys can go find the videos on that if you want to go see that. Anyway, look at the stepping stone path of quakes coming up out of the south and going up to the north. And look where the sets of rings overlap. They overlap here. Well, do you guys know about this spot here? You ever hear of Sardinia? You ever hear of Cyclops? You ever hear of a Cyclops? You know what a Cyclops is? Some kind of giant creature with one eye. Well, apparently this island here has a bunch of giant structures that the professionals call cyclopean structures. And the legend is that the giant cyclops lived on these islands and they built these giant stone structures that are absolutely insanely huge. Well, now this is pretty much the halfway point between our 3 sets of quakes. And being that Norcia just got hit, or our 4 sets of quakes, all the rings overlap right here. Let's wait for it. One more time. All the sets of rings pretty much overlap right here on the tip of the arrow. So I'm going to warn North Italy, Northwest Italy, South France, and Sardinia. We're shifting the warned area from Norcia slightly to the west to Sardinia, where all 3 sets of these rings overlap. It's pretty obvious, right? The 4 sets of rings overlap there. So what size? Same size that I warned for Norcia. It's going to be in the upper 4 to low 5 range. South France isn't that used to getting 5s or upper 4s, and it's imminent. It's going to be striking within the next several days. Speaking of imminent and it already striking, going around the outside edge of Europe, you can check Poland off the list with a 3.7 to 4.0 earthquake. The only thing missing, and it did not hit this past week, is right off the coast of Holland, or east of the UK, East UK, Southeast UK, going to Holland, English Channel, getting hit with a 4. It's the only thing missing. I struck out on that last week. Has not hit, or they didn't report it, one of the two. But I would think that it didn't hit. Instead, it looks like the energy went and skipped the UK, went right underneath it, and came back out on the mid-Atlantic ridge. And the same sized earthquakes that we were looking for to strike, I was looking for a mid-range 4, or 4 to 4.5, to strike here, and instead 2 sets, 3 sets, struck out at the mid-Atlantic ridge. So it bypassed UK for some reason. Now, I did see a small earthquake did get reported in the UK, but I didn't look it up. It was like on Volcano Discovery a couple days ago. Just saw it, looked it up, or I just saw it on the screen, did not look it up on Google Earth. I just looked at it, said, oh, wow, okay, new small earthquake. Anybody else that I forgot to mention? Caribbean, South America, and Hawaii. So, Caribbean, you got a big 7 over to the west. You've got multiple 4s and 5s striking along with that. This is the past day and a half. Let's go back over to the USGS plate boundary map and show you the Caribbean. And here we are, south of the United States. You see the red line, again, the plate boundary goes over to the east. And we got our 7 over here along in Mexico, and a bunch of 4s and 5s with it. Now, the plate boundary goes, again, directly east over to the Dominican Republic, Haiti. Now, look at the number of earthquakes in the last day. This is next to nothing. But the magnitudes are actually increasing. So while the number of earthquakes is really, really low in comparison to where we've been in the past, you get hundreds, if not thousands, of small earthquakes at these spots. But to have a bunch of 2s and 3s instead of 0s is an increase. Again, if you go from 0s and 1s up to 3, that's actually a 100-fold increase in power, even though it's going just from 1s to 3s. But the number of earthquakes has dropped off. So I'm thinking of this more like a snare drum, where you're rolling the snare drum. A professional drummer is, just normally rolling the drum kind of fast, but then they really pick up pace. We're going to look for the pace to pick up. We're going to look for the number of beats per minute to pick up, if you will. The number of earthquakes per day to pick up. The magnitudes are already increasing. So, in other words, if you're a drummer and you're hitting the drum, you're hitting it harder, you're hitting it harder than you were previously. And that hitting of the drum is along the plate boundary, and what's hitting the drum is a wave. And every time the wave comes in, the drum gets hit. And the wave spacing is somewhat equal. And we're getting the same sized earthquakes spreading out across the huge distance as the wave spreads out. So this 7.6 in Mexico was caused by the wave that's spreading out. The same wave that caused the 7.6 over here at Papua New Guinea, and the other multiple 7s to spread out across from Taiwan all the way back down to New Caledonia down here. So multiple 7s hit. Now, let me show you South America and the warned area in South America where we had the warning going. And we're on the last day of the warning now. So last day of the warning, and no huge earthquake is hit at all in South America, in Chile. Just a few 4s and a 5, which is super low in comparison to the rest of the planet. Central America, West Pacific, Northwest Pacific, multiple new volcanic blasts. That's something else that's missing from the list here. No new volcanoes erupting at all along all of Chile. We have Sabancaya volcano, normal erupter in Peru, but like for instance up here, Reventador and Sanjay, pretty quiet. Nevado del Ruiz volcano here up in Colombia, quiet. Turrialba, quiet. All the volcanoes across Central America. Where's Fuego? Where are they all? They were quiet in comparison to where we were just a few days ago. Or a few weeks ago. Days we've gone quiet. And I don't like quiet, volcanically speaking, right after big movement. So volcanically we're quiet, seismically we're quiet, and we're in one of the most earthquake-prone zones on the planet. Look where the rings overlap, and that is my warned area going north to the border. And today's the last day of the warning. And we're looking for something similar in size to what struck in the West Pacific and what struck in Mexico. So it hasn't hit yet, and I might be a strikeout on that. Man, oh man, we have 6s coming across on the north side, so people in Alaska shouldn't be, I don't know, lackadaisy about this. You should actually pay attention in Alaska for 6s. We should pay attention down in South America for one more day for the potential of 7s. Then there's a huge silent zone. Silent. And I mean no earthquake activity in 48 hours across all of Ecuador, Peru, going up into North Colombia. And these are normally earthquake-prone locations. If you see an earthquake-prone location go completely quiet for multiple days, when the area on the north side is majorly moving and you have arrows that point towards it, letting you know that previous earthquakes flow down this way, you should watch the area that's quiet, in the middle of it. So watch the middle of the area that's quiet for a new break to take place. And I would say it would be at least the size as what's going on up here in Kamchatka. So this is a heck of a forecast, guys, because we're talking about all areas of the planet showing a shift, and I've got to cover each one and relate it to the other with this wave that's spreading out. Over in the Eastern Caribbean, I'm going to tell the people in Puerto Rico right now, you also need to be prepared, just in case, for the potential of 6.0 plus activity to come in from Haiti, Dominican Republic, center being Puerto Rico, east side being the east side of the plate boundary. So here's Dominican Republic and Haiti. Here's Puerto Rico, east side of the plate boundary. This is the center of where we're going to watch, but we could see it go all the way over to the east or over to the west. We're looking by 200 miles. So we're looking 200 to the east, 200 to the west. There we go. A lot of things going on. South America, tomorrow I'll either cancel the warning or the earthquake will have hit. Finally, mahalo, aloha. Dude, damn it. Can never get that right. Anyway, check it out. Hawaii. Look at this. Huge earthquake swarm broke out at Kilauea, right next to it. Now, we also have big clusters of earthquakes, which I would also call swarms, up at Mauna Loa, down at Loihi, over to the east along the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, down south of Pu'uo'o, and then one lone noteworthy sized earthquake up here on the northwest side of the island next to Hualalai Volcanic Field. So which should we show first? I guess I'll show them all. We'll show you the biggest of the bunch, 3.4 to 3.3. Notice they have it listed as Look, guys, come here to Missouri and try and say Missouri proper, okay? Depends on what part of the state you're in. Somebody will be like, it's Missouri, boy. What are you talking to, you city slicker? Okay. Here's Hualalai, and it's a volcanic field that goes down along the coast. You see all the craters and so forth that covered in trees. It goes out into the ocean. Okay, there we go. So Hualalai, the biggest of the bunch on the volcanic field in the northwest. Then Mauna Loa, almost everybody's heard of Mauna Loa, and Kilauea. Most people have heard of Kilauea. Most people have not heard about or ever seen Loihi, which they've changed the name on, by the way, which I'll try and pronounce here in a minute. It should be fun. Mauna Loa here, Kilauea here, Pu'uo'o over here, and then down here, Loihi, which they've now changed to be, this just happened this year too, Kanaloa. Guys, look. Guys, can we abbreviate it? K-E-K, Keck. Because you're trolling. You're trolling by putting those. Okay, all right. You guys, magnitude-wise, let's just go ahead and warn you for a 4.3, 1 magnitude larger. We're going to come in right in the middle of the 3 triangulated sets of quakes. I think it's pretty obvious we're already pretty much there if you're swarming out at all the volcanoes around the island. The rest of the Pacific is going into overdrive. You're going to go up by magnitude just like the United States. If we're at 4s, we're going to go up to 5s in the U.S. If you're at 3s, you're going to go up to 4s in Hawaii. I hope I'm right on that. Sorry, I don't mean to goof around so much, but come on, you got to keep a sense of humor on all this stuff at this point. Keep the levity going. Geophysics is boring. Earthquake forecasting is boring. It's all boring. It's not entertaining. This is not meant to be some kind of entertainment where you watch. Although some people watch like the Weather Channel for entertainment. I used to. You guys ever used to do that? Leave the Weather Channel on for the great vaporwave type music before they had vaporwave? Yeah. All right. Well, the Weather Channel ain't that great now. Got bought out by corporate assets. Everybody's sold out. Remind everybody. Guys, you need an earthquake plan. You need to know what to do when an earthquake strikes. It's so basic. You're supposed to take shelter underneath a table or a desk. But do you have a table or a desk to get underneath? And if you can't afford it, what are you going to do? Buy a table or desk? They might have it at Goodwill or someplace where you can get donated furniture. Something wood, something metal. You don't want to get underneath cheap plastic, and you certainly don't want to be underneath a glass table. So make sure you have the appropriate things to get under to protect yourself from falling objects. You can also make sure that some of the bigger things in your house are secured to the walls. You know, you can attach cabinets to studs by literally doing a zip tie. One of those plastic zip ties. Do a zip tie to the wall into a stud. Screw it in, of course, and then attach it to the back side of the furniture so it doesn't fall over. Think about your refrigerator. You guys ever slide your refrigerator around? I've seen this in many videos now recently in the big earthquakes. People's fridges sliding out and falling over because they have rollers on the bottom in some cases, and unless you attach your refrigerator to the frickin' wall, it falls over or doors swing open. Kitchen cabinets. I told my wife, I looked at our kitchen cabinets no more than a day ago. We have a bunch of coffee cups up in the kitchen cabinet, and they're just like packed full right up to the front of the edge of the cabinet. You know, you open the cabinet door, you can just grab a coffee cup, right? Well, I don't have latches on that cabinet. And if any earthquake hits, guess what's going to happen? All of that shit is going to come out and fall on the granite countertops and shatter into a million pieces. And there'll be glass and broken ceramic, which is even sharper than glass in some cases, all over the place. And we got cats. So either A, I need to completely empty the cabinets, or B, I need to get latches for the cabinets so they don't fly open so all the cups and stuff don't fall out. I'm just speaking for myself. Think about your emergency kit. Do you have it appropriate? Do you have food and water and a change of clothes and a set of shoes, extra set of keys, extra IDs? It's such a pain. It is. You got to do it, though. You should do it. It'll come in handy for everything from a evacuation for a fire, or you have to get out of the house for a flood, or an earthquake, or just if you lose your set of keys, you'll at least have an extra set in the emergency kit. I'm just giving you ideas. I know this update's gone on for a real long time here. How long is it? Almost an hour long? I hope you have a better idea of what to expect. We're looking for things to go through the roof still in several locations, including in the Indian Ocean, over in Indonesia, over in Japan. I haven't even talked about Japan really, but that warning still stands for 2 more days. Down in South America, on the west coast of the United States, Texas, east coast of the United States. You're moving, but they're not reporting the quakes. What's going on there? Why hide it? And it's not up for debate. You saw it. There's felt reports of shaking going on up there in the spot where I issued the warning. How many times is this going to happen, guys, where before you get suspicious, where you're like, hey, it looks like maybe the professionals are kind of hiding earthquakes where Dutch is issuing warning. You'd have to make a stink about it. And then they deny it, of course. Come on. Who's going to admit it? Maybe if somebody sells out, maybe if I become a billionaire, I could pay somebody to tell the truth. All right. Let's save this hour-long video. Let's go ahead and upload it over on YouTube. Premiere it back so everybody can watch it. One final message to everyone. Don't be scared. Be prepared. For real. Peace out.